teams steeped in tradition. A tradition marked with pinstripes and the birds on the bat. Two teams with storied pasts. Two teams with present-day superstars. And two teams now going in opposite directions. The Cardinals sporting the best record in the National League. The Yankees now one game under 500. One manager focused on winning a World Series in St. Louis, while another manager now focused on fighting for survival. Two teams, the Cardinals, the Yankees. Busch Stadium is the scene. A classic three-game series begins tonight. First time since 1964 we have welcomed the New York Yankees to St. Louis, their first ever visit to Busch Stadium. An electric atmosphere on this Friday night as Alex Rodriguez, the captain of the Yankees, Derek Jeter, and the return of Tino Martinez. The Yankees make their way to the Gateway City. With Al Hrabosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to the broadcast booth here at Busch Stadium. Should be a lot of fun. This entire week has been a lot of fun. The Boston Red Sox came through town. Cardinals took 2 of 3. Now you've got a struggling Yankees team, but throw that out the window. It's the Yankees in St. Louis.
The Yankees, the rock stars of baseball, are in town, and they've brought an entourage with them, haven't they? They're probably more Japanese and Korean and Taiwanese media here than we've seen in a normal game. 3 times more media requests than even when the Cubs are in town.
It has been a long road trip for the New York Yankees. Not very much success. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, are wrapping up their homestand this weekend. When we come back, we'll talk about the Redbird shortstop. Fans are starting to fall in love with that guy, David Eckstein.
For Eckstein, Sanders not to pitch, and a catch. Oh man, what a play by David Eckstein. Eckstein, Grudzielanek.
Said goodbye to Edgar Renteria. Immediately went out and gave a 3-year deal to David Eckstein. The arm problems have not been a problem whatsoever, and he's filled in that role that a year ago was occupied by Tony Womack in the lineup.
And some national people thought that was going to be one of the worst free agent signings. Well, I think we disagree with that, but he's been really fun to watch. He's just been a great guy. You know, he's got a magic wand, as you see in this split screen we're going to show you. The one on the left is unusual because he takes an outside pitch and he pulls this one. You know, you have to wonder what the defense was. But typically, the one on the right is he'll take that outside pitch and he'll hit it to the opposite field. And he just uses his hands to perfection on both occasions.
David Eckstein in the lineup tonight, and there's Joe Torre and Tony La Russa, 2 future Hall of Famers possibly shaking hands right here at Busch Stadium. We'll talk about 2 of their stars when we come back. You're watching Cardinals baseball on FSN. Electric atmosphere here in downtown St. Louis at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals welcome the Yankees to town. That means Alex Rodriguez, he'll bat cleanup tonight for the Bronx Bombers, and he has been outstanding this season. 2 of the game's best, if not the best in the game, squaring off tonight. And Alex Rodriguez and Albert Pujols. Baseball coming up next from Busch in just a moment. Cardinal baseball from downtown St. Louis, brought to you by Bud Light, fresh, smooth, real, it's all here. By Auto Tire, for straight talk and great service, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Steak and Shake, real steak burgers and real milkshakes, served 24 hours a day at Steak and Shake. And by Southwest Airlines, friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. We are expecting a crowd that's over 50,000 here tonight, and a crowd here at Busch Stadium that will be larger than opening day and larger than Game 1 of the Boston Red Sox series here in St. Louis, as the Yankees have made their way to town. A collection of all-stars in this lineup. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. A look at Joe Torre and Joe Girardi, the former Cardinal. It'll be Derek Jeter, Tony Womack, and Gary Sheffield here in the first. Alex Rodriguez is the cleanup man with 19 home runs. He leads the major leagues. Then Hideki Matsui, Jorge Posada, Jason Giambi, Robinson Cano, and then you've got Wong Chin Ming Wong on the mound and batting ninth for the Yankees. And on the mound for St. Louis, our Advanced Auto Parts starter Jason Marquis. 23 career starts here at Busch, a record of 12-6, and this is his 13th start this year. A very, very good record of 7-3. And as you heard on the pregame show, as Derek Jeter digs in, Jason Marquis grew up a Yankees fan. Staten Island native is Jason Marquis, and the first man that he will see is Derek Jeter, the captain of the Yankees. Flashbulbs popping. The first pitch at 7:11. 89 degrees here in downtown St. Louis. Jeter off to another good start, hitting .290, 6 home runs and 23 RBIs. As a team, the Yankees are hitting .266. That's pop foul and out of play. Seems like McGuire's at the dish with all the flash bulbs that are popping here tonight. There's Joe Torre in his 10th season with the Yankees, 4 World Series titles. He arrived in the Yankee dugout back in 1996 after a few seasons here in St. Louis. The 1-1 pitch. Pulled foul to Nunez, who was seeing the primary duties at third base with Scott Rowland out. Now Jeter in the hole with a ball and 2 strikes. Here's what we're talking about, those flash bulbs popping here at Busch on that last pitch. Big crowd still filing in on a hot, muggy night here in St. Louis. Oh, this is fun, isn't it, seeing the Yankees here?
Yankees. Of course, remember last time we were in Yankee Stadium, they kind of took it to the Cardinals.
They swept the Cardinals. It was also a historic night in Game 1 of that series back in 2003. Roger Clemens with victory number 300 and strikeout number 4,000 in the same game. We may never, ever see that again.
You were so unfairly criticized.
A ground ball is hit to second as Grudzielanek will take it, and Derek Jeter is retired for out number 1. A look at the defense. A former American League star, now in the National League with the Cardinals, is Jim Edmonds, the auto tie around the horn. Sanders, Edmonds with 7 Gold Gloves. Larry Walker and Wright, a former MVP and batting champ and Gold Glover. Nunez, Eckstein, Grudzielanek, and Pujols on the infield. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate as Tony Womack gets a nice round of applause.
Tony was out at Albert's golf tournament yesterday. He had a good time.
Last year with the Cardinals, hit over 300, hit 307, and had 26 stolen bases in a deal that really went unnoticed around Major League Baseball, but was such a difference maker for the Cardinals last year as Matt Duff went to the Boston Red Sox and Womack came to St. Louis. Shows bunt, a very good bunter as we saw last year, and looks at strike number 2. So I was criticized in that Clemens game.
Oh, remember, people are all over you say you're rooting for the Yankees and Clemens. And I mean, that's just ridiculous. As a baseball fan, when you see a milestone of 4,000 strikeouts and 300 wins, and the Cardinals were just totally overmatched.
Womack's replacement at second base puts him away, 2 down.
I was criticized one time because I was in Chicago of all places, and the Cubs pitcher, and those are 2 Hall of Famers, Cubs pitcher had an 8 2/3 no-hitter, and it was like a 3-0 game. And at that point you sit there and you say, okay, you're rooting for a no-hitter. Soon as Bernard Gilkey got the first hit, then I wanted another hit and a 3-run home run and win. But as a baseball fan, sometimes you got to overlook your personal favorites or your team to see something of history.
You're watching history is right. And here's Gary Sheffield in his 2nd season with the Yankees. Oh hum, another big year for Gary so far. 10 home runs, 38 RBIs. I know a lot of people wonder why he wiggles that bat like that. Folks, you're going to watch the quickest bat maybe in baseball right here, and he does that as a way to slow himself down. That's why he wiggles the bat so viciously when he's in the box. He jumps out ahead of too many pitches, and he'll take just a vicious swing. 2 balls and 1 strike on Sheffield. 2 former teammates here with the Atlanta Braves as Sheffield has bounced around. Jason Marquis was part of that great staff for a while in Atlanta. People forget Gary Sheffield started his major league career as a shortstop. Breaking ball is outside. He was drafted in the first round by the Milwaukee Brewers, and you have to go all the way back to 1986. 4 years in Milwaukee, 2 years in San Diego, 5 with the Marlins, 3 with Los Angeles, 2 with Atlanta, and now in his second season with the Bronx Bombers. A-Rod is on deck. What a start to his season. 3-1 pitch. Hit high in the air to left center field. That'll stay in the ballpark. Edmonds drifting over. Jimmy's going to take it, and a 1-2-3 inning for Jason Marquis. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first, and there's no score. Tony La Russa and the Cardinals have won 16 of their last 18 interleague games dating back to 2003. A look at Tony's lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Eckstein, Grzelcyk at Pujols. Then Edmonds, Walker, Sanders, Abraham Nunez, Yadier Molina, and Jason Marquis. Not a shabby hitter at all, batting .375 in the ninth spot. Here's a look at Chien-Ming Wang, who is arguably been their best pitcher, and his numbers brought to you by Rico.
Lowest ERA. You know, he's making his 8th appearance, 7th start, and at home he's been very good. This young man from Taiwan has a good power sinker. He keeps the ball down. His slider's a little bit inconsistent, and a good changeup. He's only allowed 1 home run on the year.
Here's David Eckstein, the Cardinals shortstop and leadoff man, and he takes a ball outside. And something that they can count on when this right-hander's on the mound is going deep into some games. He's pitched into at least the 6th inning in his 7 starts. You can't say that about Mike Mussina or Randy Johnson or Kevin Brown, guys that are making bundles of money. And yet this guy has been their best pitcher. And there's a look at Randy, who's chatting it over with Tino Martinez in their dugout. Randy Johnson will go against Mark Mulder tomorrow.
And the one thing the Cardinal hitters are going to try and get this guy to elevate his pitches, get it up a little bit so they aren't pounding it in the ground.
2-0 pitch to Eckstein is a strike. David saw his 10-game hitting streak come to an end on Wednesday night, and already the 2nd time that he's had a streak of 10 games or longer. The 2-1 pitch. Catches the inside corner, 2-2. Still some fans arriving here at Busch, and again we're expecting over 50,000 here tonight at Busch Stadium.
It'll be like this all weekend. Fans are going to have a little fun.
2-2 is slap foul. Taiwanese media here, the Japanese media here. So Taguchi very well could start tomorrow, and you've got Hideki Matsui. So a throng of media from all over the place, all over the world here in St. Louis. 2-2 pitch. A broken bat, and it's hit to Giambi at first, and he'll make the play and steps on the bag for out number 1. Look at the Yankees defense, and it's different looking here tonight because the DH is not in play, so Giambi will play at first base with Tino on the bench. And look out and left, it's our buddy Tony Womack, then Matsui in center, Sheffield in right, Rodriguez, Jeter, Cano at second base, Giambi at first, and Jorge Posada in his 10th season is behind the plate for New York. And here's Mark Grzelcyk, who's hitting .319.
You like Grzelcyk in this 2nd spot?
Well, we've talked about that. The fact that Larry Walker not playing tonight. We talked about it the last few weeks. Moving up Grzelcyk, dropping down Walker, and Tony La Russa has done that. Here you have a contact guy, and you want a guy that hits to the opposite field a little bit, can hit behind the runner, as Walker will bat 5th tonight. And that's something that you see out of Mark Grzelcyk.
I think part of it is just to get these table setters. He's so good. He's almost like a second leadoff man for Tony. And you get Larry Walker, who's struggling a little bit, but you're getting maybe he'll pick it up in more familiar territory, RBI position.
You and I were both at Albert Pujols golf tournament yesterday, and I introduced Mark Grzelcyk by saying very well could be an all-star this year. The Cardinals have a bunch of choices. They have a chance to go to that Midsummer Classic.
Well, the tough thing's going to be there's a lot of deserving Cardinals, but it's not like it used to be. A lot of the picks are taken out of the hands of the manager, so Tony won't have as many picks.
A look at our 4-key matchup. You know this guy will be there. Run differential in the first 3 innings. Big difference for the Cardinals. You see they're the top of that list in our 4 key matchup. It's a big margin between themselves and the White Sox, the Brewers, and the Braves. All in the top 4.
And that's why the Cardinals starters have 34 wins. Out of the 38 the team has amassed, 34 of them have gone to the starters.
Check on Grizzolonic, and it gets away from Giambi. He has a chance to go to third. He will go to third. And an RBI opportunity early on for Albert Pujols. I'll tell you what, Al, they talk about with Giambi, when they play him in the field, that he's stiff. We're going to have to get a better look at this replay as to whether or not he could make that catch to make sure it didn't go out of play and beyond his reach. But that's one of the biggest criticisms towards Giambi at first base.
I think it was a ball that sometimes guys are so permanent on that base that you can move a step or two and get yourself a better position to make that play.
I think he could have caught it.
He should have caught it. I thought it was thrown into the runner, but it was not that bad a throw. You got to have some flexibility like you talk about. But a great opportunity for the Cardinals to jump out.
Outfield is deep for Albert Pujols. He grounds it towards short. Vintage Derek Jeter from the hole, and Giambi can't come up with that one. RBI for Albert. 1-0 Cardinals. Boy, Jeter's made that play famous, hasn't he?
Yes,
going in the hole like that.
Sometimes guys invent plays that other guys can't do. The athleticism, but it's part of it is the bigger body with the arm strength. And that is another very catchable ball, as he does a tremendous job to get that ball in the infield, and then the athleticism to make the strong throw. But Giambi is, as you say, a little stiff over there. And you know he's trying as hard as he can, but those are plays that you know Albert would have made.
Well, I'd even say Tino Martinez makes that play.
Oh, absolutely.
He played very well defensively for the Cardinals.
And being a left-handed thrower, that would have been that much easier for the glove hand.
There goes Pujols. He was running on a pitch that's fouled back by Edmonds. Cardinals have jumped out to an early lead. The RBI, by the way, for Pujols, number 48. And he's in the top 5 in RBIs. He's 3rd overall in home runs and comes in 4th in average. So 2 legitimate contenders for the Triple Crown on display tonight. And Alex Rodriguez at 3rd base for the Yankees, and Albert Pujols for the Cardinals.
The defense, and this defense for the Yankees has not been a strong point either.
They play Jimmy very deep. 1 ball, 1 strike. We mentioned that Joe Torre had to really change things up for the Yankees, trying to get things going. And at one point they won 10 in a row, and I'm sure it had to be one of the toughest decisions for him was to sit Bernie Williams, not play him every day, a guy that's been such a leader for them for 10+ seasons. Then to move Matsui into center, and there's Bernie Williams, and then move Tony Womack from second base to left, and Cano gets a chance at second base.
There's Ruben Sierra next to him. Tony Womack goes out in the outfield, and Tony will try, but he's not.
Off the mask of Posada for strike 2.
Well, it looked like Posada jumped up as if Pujols was running on the pitch, but he wasn't.
I talked to Dave McKay about what's the average time to the plate that he'll try to get on a pitcher. They said average in which they'll look at it is 1.3 seconds to the plate. Anything more than that, then they're going to be awfully aggressive all night long. That's why he's got that stopwatch over there in the first base's coach's box. Dave McKay.
It's amazing how years past the running game was so much more active, because managers now do a lot of defense of the running game, the step offs.
2-2 pitch to Edmonds, ripped into deep right field. Sheffield back, and it's off the wall. Pujols around second, and Albert will stop at third. A long single for Edmonds, and it's first and third, 1 out for Larry Walker.
Sheffield played that ball perfectly, and holding Jimmy with just a single. A laser shot, and this is what they're trying to do. Get the ball up. And the more topspin, so it goes right off the wall, and Sheffield plays the carom perfectly. Still has a good throwing arm, so he gets it back in. Alberts can go from first to third, but Jim Edmonds is still at first base, and he couldn't advance with the good play by Sheffield, and the double play is still in order for a sinker ball pitcher.
And already a visit on the mound from the Yankees dugout. Mel Stoudemire, longtime pitching coach for New York.
Yeah, Stoudemire was here in '64. Not at this ballpark, but in St. Louis. And I'm not too sure if he didn't start game 1.
He did.
But I thought against Gibson, right?
Right. Cardinals are 13 and 18 all time against the Yankees. But they have won 3 of the 5 World Series played between these two historic franchises. And here's a chance for Larry Walker, who's hitting .350 in his career in interleague play all time. Base hit right side for Walker. 2-0 Cardinals. RBI number 23 for Larry Walker.
Well, we talk about Larry. Put him in an RBI slot, and he knows what to do there. See where this pitch is. Set up inside, but it's drifting out and over the middle of the plate. Belt high and hooked. Now you can see Wong, nobody on, how effective he is. But when he gets runners on, does he slow things up with the runners in scoring position? .316 average, and with 2 outs, it's the worst of any stat. So the key is to get runners on against him.
Here's Reggie Sanders. Cardinals have jumped out to an early lead. Runners at first and second. And a fastball catches the outside corner to Reggie. Sanders with 12 home runs, 29 RBIs, hitting .266. Cardinals have 3 consecutive hits to go along with a walk after a ground out by David Eckstein. Pretty good speed out there, and Larry Walker at first base. He can still run, and Jim Edmonds at second.
Reggie's been hot of late. Tony's seen his left fielder hit .500, 9 for 18 with 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in his last 5 starts.
Chance to do some more damage here in the first inning. Reggie talked about being a 30-30 guy. Well, he's got 9 stolen bases, and at the age of 37, he leads the Cardinals in that department.
And 12 home runs.
1-1 pitch. Twice now here against the Cardinals. We've seen that high strike. The other one on David Eckstein, that one on Reggie.
That's okay. They wanted to get the ball up. Even starts calling it, they'll start swinging at it too.
I mean, this place is absolutely packed. It's the place to be.
And you wait and find out if the Cardinals start scoring a few more runs, how much fun everyone's going to have. Listen to it.
Just an electric atmosphere. We're only in the first inning. And time is called by Reggie.
This pitcher has a very slow pace to this game. That doesn't help his defense either.
Sanders in the hole with a ball and 2 strikes. 2 down, and it's up to Nunez.
Does have a good arm, and he gets it up there pretty good, and that up and in will get a lot of hitters.
Abraham Nunez has gotten more than he bargained for when he signed with the Cardinals. He made the team out of spring training. He started 13 of the 27 games at third base since Scott Rowland was injured, and Barry Weinberg was telling me the other day they're going to have to make a decision on this upcoming road trip on where to send Scott Rowland. He's ready for baseball activities. Hit to A-Rod. He'll take it himself, and across the diamond it goes for the 3rd out. Cardinals get 2 though here in the first. Rodriguez, Matsui, and Posada coming up for the Yankees in the 2nd. Alex Rodriguez is the cleanup man for the Yankees. He'll lead it off here in the 2nd. You can log on to foxsports.com on MSN, the keyword Cardinals booth, and email us. The big unit, Randy Johnson, will start tomorrow against Mark Mulder, who hooked up with Roger Clemens last weekend. Look at that. Bernie, Giambi, Brown, Johnson, and not pictured in that as the rain starts to fall here in St. Louis is this man at the plate, Alex Rodriguez. $252 million contract. And a legitimate candidate to get to that triple crown. Along with Albert Pujols in the National League, you've got A-Rod in the American League.
Dave McNally, old player that was a pitcher, 20-game winner with Baltimore. He had a great line. A-Rod signed for 252. He said, let me get this straight. They offered him 250. He said, no, I want 2 more.
And that's right, too. On 0-2, he hits it to short, taken there by Eckstein, bobbles a bit, and makes the play. Good start here for Jason Marquis. 4 up and 4 down. And it brings in Hideki Matsui. Power numbers way down for Matsui this year. Only 4 home runs. Good RBI total, though, at 39. And he's hitting .267.
He didn't start on Wednesday. And he's like the Iron Man. He was that in Japan, but he did pinch hit to keep his consecutive game streak alive.
And he pops it into shallow left field. Reggie Sanders for out number 2.
Good start for Marquis, isn't it?
Sure is. He looks sharp.
3 ground balls, 2 pop-ups.
And I would imagine for Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan, one of the things that they watch early on is emotions and pitches being up for Marquis going against the Yankees, the team that he grew up watching as a youngster.
Well, maybe he learned a little bit pitching against the Mets this year and in Philadelphia. Especially the Philadelphia trip was tough for him because around family and friends, and he was traveling back and forth to his home in New York, and you know, kind of get worn out with all them. But it seems like he's got the emotions in check tonight. He's got a 2-0 lead and looks determined and focused.
Here's Jorge Posada, switch hitting catcher, batting an even .280 with 7 home runs and 28 RBIs. 2 outs and nobody on for the Yankees here in the second.
Talk about Posada, and seems like he's been here forever.
11th season with New York.
Young kid that I think Joe Torre kind of took under his wing, really helped nurture along with Joe Girardi, who is now his bench coach.
That's pulled foul. I mentioned that Gary Sheffield originally signed as a shortstop, came up as a shortstop. Well, Posada signed as a second baseman. 24th round pick back in 1990 by New York. And a lot of people, and rightfully so, look at what they do in the free agent market and spending outrageously for players. But at the core of their championship teams was Derek Jeter, a product of their system, Jorge Posada. You had Andy Pettit, Bernie Williams. I mean, you had some guys that were there in that core of which they drafted. Then they went out and got some of the missing pieces, whether it be a John Wetland for a while before Rivera started closing. But that's how it started for New York.
Bernie Williams, Ruben Sierra. He had a big series against the Cardinals. And he could go out and get, you know, MVPs of the league.
Giambi an MVP back in 2000. 2-2 pitch to Posada is outside.
Marquis really having trouble on the mound. Looks like he's spinning off the mound, almost tripped.
The rain has been a steady downpour now for about 5 minutes or so. Right down the middle, but he doesn't get the call. Looked like strike 3. Marquis doesn't get it. A 2-out walk and the first base runner tonight for New York.
I remember you said the high strike is in play tonight. Maybe the low strike is not.
The boos for Jason Giambi. He's been getting them all over the place, whether it be at Yankee Stadium or on the road.
And I guess when St. Louis fans boo somebody, they've done something that as baseball fans you're not happy with.
Average at 234 for Giambi. In batting practice, hit a couple of tape measure shots into the upper deck. 4 home runs, that's it, and 15 RBIs. That's what they're getting on their return of a 7-year, $120 million deal.
Hopefully, at least he's healthy and can stay that way.
This time last year, they didn't know what was going on with Giambi at the parasite when they went over to Japan.
Right.
I mean, they were seriously concerned about his well-being. Forget baseball. And something that consistently teams have been doing against Giambi, which never would have been thought of prior to this season or even last, is trying to bust him inside with fastballs. He's just not getting around on them. 1-2 is the count. They say hitting behind in the count too, whether it be 1-2 or 0-2 or 0-1, but always falling behind.
Sometimes you get into that mode where you lose your aggression.
The 1-2 is popped high in the air into left field. Backing up Reggie. He'll make the play. The Yankees are done. Marquis is through 2. Cardinals will have Molina, Marquis, and Eckstein coming up in their half of the second. Jack in the box standings. The Cardinals lead it by 6 games after the Cubs beat up on the Red Sox at Wrigley Field. I guess that wasn't a fun atmosphere to be in Chicago, huh? The Pirates 9.5 games out. The Brewers, Reds, and then the Astros 14.5 games out in the cellar. The NL Central standings brought to you by Jack in the Box. Yadier Molina will lead it off for the Cardinals here in the second inning, followed by Marquis and then David Eckstein. Cardinals with 2 runs in the first, lead it by 2.
Like you said, this whole weekend is sold out, but I remind people to get your tickets and get them early. We're starting to get, like when we come back for Thursday, June 23rd against the Pirates, over 39,000 are sold for that game. On Friday night, over 46,000 for the Pirates. Another 46 on Saturday, 42. And that's BJC Healthcare Cap Day. So, I mean, all these, as we go along, this final season at Busch Stadium, you're going to find more and more sellouts. I can imagine all these people that want to get tickets for like the last game, you're going to start finding out that it'll be the last couple weeks will be sold out.
Count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Molina. Got off to the horrible start at the plate, but that's a thing of the past as his average is at 254. And slices that one into the seats. Two balls and 2 strikes. Alex Rodriguez making the move from shortstop to third base. Let's take a look at his approach and how he steps into the pitch at third, getting ready.
Tries to look in maybe to get his, see if he can read the sign a little bit, but then gets down, gets his momentum coming forward. That tells you something about him too, that, you know, $252 million man, but yet he knows coming to a new team and is asked to change positions. That's his role and accepts it.
3-2 pitch. Molina shoots this one into left center field. Womack over, and he'll make the play. A line out off the bat of Molina. We'll buy some fries this summer and win a prize. It's the McDonald's St. Louis Cardinals Ticket Fest game. This summer you have the chance to win one of 3.3 million prizes by checking out your fries at participating McDonald's. Prizes include seats from Busch Stadium, free Cardinal tickets, a first pitch, and millions more. There's Jason Marquis, who homered in his last outing.
Literally millions more, right? 3.3 million opportunities to win.
1 home run, 6 RBIs, an average at 375, and this could be a big difference in this series, not just tonight with a guy like Marquis, but you know, any American League team that has to go into a National League park, you have to sit your DH or your first baseman like we saw with Millar and Ortiz, or play them out of position. And the Yankees tonight have Giambi at first and Tino Martinez on the bench, and I think a couple of those plays would be handled by Tino and maybe cost them a run. 0-2 pitch. Good changeup, and Marquis is the second strikeout victim from Wong. And it brings in David Eckstein. You know, I talked to Jose Oquendo recently about this, Al, moving like a guy like Nunez, playing second, short, third base. And the perfect guy to ask is Oquendo, all the positions that he played, how a third baseman approaches playing defense as far as when the pitch is coming to the plate. Let's take a look at Alex Rodriguez. He'll step in, gets himself ready, and then he'll back up and he'll walk into the pitch. But some guys will watch, and it's unique to that position. They'll watch the pitcher throw it to the plate, or do they just stare at the plate and make the reaction on the ground ball either to their left or their right? Jose Oquendo said he did a little bit of both.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of both because you can get a little bit too focused on the hitter and be surprised when all of a sudden the pitch. You can see out of the corner of your eye, you know when he's making his windup.
Back to Wong, and the Cardinals will go 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the second. Cano, Wong, and Jeter coming up for the Yankees in the third. It's 2-zip St. Louis. This day in baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. The Babe hits his 120th career home run to become baseball's all-time home run leader at the time. It's a position he will keep until Hank Aaron hits number 715. Many thought Barry Bonds would surpass the Babe this year with ease and then head towards Hammer and Hank, and that hasn't worked out on either plateau. Here's Cano, the second baseman for the Yankees, on the first pitch. The first hit for New York tonight. We mentioned that Alex Rodriguez is the fastest ever to 400. You think about 755. It's no longer Ken Griffey Jr., who everybody thought would at least have a chance at doing it. But you also have to mix in that man right there, Albert Pujols, along with Alex Rodriguez, is a chance. I mean, you got to project it out. I was doing some numbers the other day. Pujols would have to play 15 more years, stay healthy, and hit 40 home runs in those 15 years to get to even a sniff, a 755. So you get ahead of yourself, but that's what baseball is about, projected numbers.
Baseball is also about longevity, so even though it's this great start for Albert, you just really have to stay injury-free. So many intangibles before you can ever get to some of the great marks. But without a significant injury, and if he plays, and he will, the way he takes care of himself.
Pujols is charging on that after holding the runner at first along with the other corner man. That's Nunez from third. Here's what we're talking about. Wong now having to hit for himself and sacrifice in this situation. How comfortable does he feel? Can he do it? Well, we have seen time and again, not only will the Cardinal pitchers bunt, but the Butcher Boy, the hit and runs are on. It's a different element to this game.
Yeah, ever since Tony La Russa came to the National League and realized pitchers have to hit, he's given the starters.
The bunt is out front. Molina goes to second, gets the lead man on the first, safe at first. Cardinals almost turned their 71st double play this year. They are tied for first with Florida in that category in the National League with 70. That cannon by Molina, and he showed it off.
I mean, he's just fearless back there behind the plate. He's not afraid to make a mistake, and there he guns the ball down. Eckstein kind of left a little bit early there to try and help out.
Watch where that throw is. It was backhanded by Eckstein. If it's up that first base line where his momentum is going towards first, maybe he makes that play on the turn. Instead, just by a step, Wong was safe. Now it's Derek Jeter. He grounded to second his first time up. Fastball right down the middle to Jeter.
You know, just saying that Tony La Russa devotes almost as much time to his starters hitting as the position players get. On the road they'll be in the cages, but at home they have a designated time equal to what the starters are to hit on the field.
That's pulled just foul past third.
And over the years it's paid off with the Cardinals normally having one of the better hitting staffs in the game.
Derek Jeter, the 11th captain in team history, and the first captain since their hitting coach Don Mattingly.
He's looking for one more hit to reach 1,800. On this road trip, been struggling. He is now 6 for 30.
Jeter signed a long-term deal. Some of the numbers I'll spew out tonight are unbelievable. 10 years, $189 million to Derek Jeter, a career .315 hitter, the '96 Rookie of the Year and a former #1 pick out of Kalamazoo High School back in 1992 by New York.
I think that if you're talking about Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter, you're not afraid to give them long-term contracts and know that they'll hold up their end of the bargain.
Albert Pujols, another one. Just guys that you know you can count on that are going to put their time in to be the best that they can be, their craft. No matter if they're making the minimum or over $100 million. There's Don Mattingly and Joe Girardi, who wrapped up his playing career with the St. Louis Cardinals, and many believe he will be a manager very soon in the major leagues.
I was talking with Brian Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, and said, "How's Girardi doing?" He said, "Great." He said, Steinbrenner had somebody in mind, and I said, "Well, I have somebody too." And George asked him who, and he said, "Joe Girardi." And he goes, "Yeah, I kind of like your guy better than mine."
Yep.
One of the first times George probably ever deferred to his GM. Maybe if we get time, I'll tell you how Joe Torre got the job. It's really interesting.
With New York?
With New York.
Oh, we're going to have plenty of time. We got 3 hours. It's a baseball game.
It's a great story, but we'll get into it a little bit maybe next inning.
Full count here on Derek Jeter with 1 out and a runner at first. And that's pulled to Nunez. Backhanded play out there, and that's all they're going to be able to get. Good play by Abraham Nunez at third. And it brings in Tony Womack.
Great to see Scott Rowland so close to coming back, but you really have to be proud of Abraham Nunez and John Mabry, and recently Scott Siebel, the way they have fielded that position, contributed at times offensively, but you can't replace a Gold Glover like Scott Rowland, but these guys have done a good job in his absence, and he is very close. And I'm not too sure I would, I'm not a betting man, but I wouldn't even necessarily know if I would even bet whether he goes on a rehab.
Interesting. He's missed over a month now.
It's obvious that getting some plate appearances in the minor league game would be very helpful, but they're a little concerned of going down there, with the lights a little, it's not like the old days where the lights were bad in the minor league parks, but I think they know he's so close and he can win games for you with his glove that they may try and do it through simulated games and different things that way. Cal Eldred threw 2 innings yesterday, gave up something like 3 hits, didn't give up a run, and only threw 21 pitches.
Good. Talked to him the other day, and he said, "I'm feeling good. Everything's progressing well." And it was a life or death, literally a life or death situation for a while there for Cal Eldred. And baseball was put on the back burner.
Most of the time when somebody has that, you get a chance to reflect, and then they also know how important this game is to them. They come back and relaxed and do a great job.
Womack, Marquis, Pujols. Yankees strand a man. In the Cardinals half of the third, Grudzielanek, Pujols, and Edmonds coming up for the Redbirds. St. Louis leads it by the score of 2-0 here at Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis. Welcome back to Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest. Downtown St. Louis as the Cardinals will wrap up this brief 6-game homestand with the Yankees this weekend. And here in the third for St. Louis, it's Mark Grudzielanek, who looks at a fastball outside. Grudzielanek walked and scored back in the first. It was a wild throw by Wong that got away. Allowed Grudzielanek to head to third and scored on a base hit, an infield hit by Pujols. Grounder towards the middle. Low throw, Giambi picks it. 1 out. Brings in Pujols. Great job by Albert and his wife Dee Dee and the Pujols Family Foundation. Got 30 to 35 local celebrities from Marshall Falk to Al Raboski, Joe Buck. We're out at his golf tournament. Jim Hannafin, just to name a few. The Hall of Famer Red Shandy's, Tony La Russa. But I was honored to MC that event, and just during the oral auction alone, we raised over $80,000. That did not include the corporate sponsorship, what it cost to play in the event, the silent auction, but thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars raised for kids and families in the Dominican, and also for the Down Syndrome Association, as Pujols rips this one to the opposite field. That's a fair ball. Albert is thinking too. It's bobbled out and right by Sheffield, but Pujols will stay at second base with a one-out double.
If you ever worried about or wondered about his faith, was torrential rain and hail all throughout the area. We're out there and not one drop of rain during a 6-hour event. And there you see a ball out away from him, just slicing it into the corner, using his hands to perfection. But Albert is got one half of the cycle in the book, but he's got the toughest two to get.
A commemorative final season logo on a bag, that you would see in play during a major league game, and all the players had signed it. Albert was the final bidder at $5,000 and handed it off to one of our great speakers, Lydia, from the Down Syndrome Association.
Oh, those kids just absolutely love him. And aren't they a joy to be around? It's just
great
how personable they, young kids with Down syndrome, special needs.
Lydia was the best speaker of the night. I was the other one. She was great.
Hate to tell you, Dan, but you tied with second. Everybody else.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And you did a nice job.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a great time. A ball and 2 strikes on Edmonds.
I had fun with my group. They played with Tony Womack the year before from the Knights of Columbus. They were entertaining. They were very much into it.
Here comes a 1-2 pitch to Jim Edmonds. Opposite field hit. Will they wave him in? They're going to test Tony Womack. Why not? The throw coming in. It's cut off. And Giambi lost it. Edmonds on his way to third base. They had him dead to right between first and second. And the defense is falling apart tonight for the New York Yankees. 3-0 Cardinals. RBI for Edmonds, number 37. The throw was cut off. And it looked like the throw that went from A-Rod to Giambi was right at the letters.
I mean, I think I heard they said E5, but that's, I saw the same thing you saw. Tony Womack throws here. They cut it off because they had Edmonds dead to right, and it looked like just a perfect throw. You started running too soon. You can't give that air to A-Rod. Giambi started running, trying to close the gap before he caught the ball.
Now it's Walker. He has an RBI base hit. Jason Giambi here in the first 3 innings has had a nightmarish start to this game.
I talked to Jason before the game, and I asked him about his younger brother, and he said he's going to be at the game tonight. Jeremy Giambi said he injured his ankle playing in the White Sox minor league system. Got to know him when he was playing for the Kansas City Royals.
Phillies as well. Got up 2 balls and no strikes on Walker with Reggie Sanders on deck. That runner at third is Edmonds. Way outside. 3-0. And you know that Walker will have that green light if he gets a pitch to rip.
This pitcher, you just really have to focus on what your job is. You can't get down or discourage what's happening around you.
Now they're just intentionally pass Walker and deal with Reggie Sanders. Inning started with a ground out by Grzelcyk, then a double by Pujols, RBI single by Edmonds, intentional pass to Larry Walker. And here's Reggie Sanders as they climbed the ladder last time up with Reggie. It was a lot of fastballs trying to bust him in. And then eventually he swung at one near the birds on the bat and struck out.
Locked him up and in. Good sinker ball pitcher, but I showed you that graphic earlier. When he has runners on, he has trouble pitching.
First pitch to Reggie. Base hit right side. 4-0 Cardinals. Walker is going to test Sheffield. That throw is offline. Sanders moved to second base. That is all caused, folks, by Larry Walker. He deked Gary Sheffield into hurrying the throw as Larry looked like he was going to stop at second. Sheffield looked up, saw him trotting, and all of a sudden Larry, we're going to see it ISO'd, would start towards third. Great play by Walker here.
So he slowed up like that, and you're right. He's deked guys in the outfield, and he dekes them on the bases. Jason Giambi couldn't handle that one. Is thrown a little bit wide. Here he couldn't get the scoop. And watch this one. Watch him leave too soon as he tried to close the gap but forgot to catch the ball first.
And with one out, runners now at second and third for Abraham Nunez. And one of the problems for Joe Torre this season, as we see the throwing miscue by Sheffield, has been the defense. It has been erratic at best for Joe Torre here in 2005.
You know, the odd thing is,
not many errors.
Coming into this game, they had the same amount of errors as the St. Louis Cardinals.
But you see tonight, 2 errors.
Well, I know, but I mean, the point is we know they're not a good defensive team, and the Cardinals we consider one of the best. Tonight they're making the errors, and they're showing why we think they're not very good. This could be a mistake too.
Well, you've got Molina on deck. Yadier lined out to left to Tony Womack his first time up. So another intentional pass, this time to load him up and try to get the double play off the bat of Molina when he comes to the plate.
If he hits the ball on the ground, they've got it. And they won't even have to worry about going to, they could go home is one way, or they could just do it the conventional way because of Molina's foot speed.
Best damn sports show period, the greatest nightly sports show on television, with host Chris Rose and co-host John Sally, Rob Dibble, and Rodney Peete. It's all coming up after the Midwest Sports Report. Real key spot right now, even though it is 4-0 in the third, but you've got bases loaded, only 1 out, and a chance here for Molina. Joe Torre decides to roll the dice here and try to get a double play.
It makes baseball sense and logic to do so, but it's up to the execution of the players.
The pitch gets away. How about this? 5-0 Cardinals.
And you look at all this, and it's Joe Torre's fault. I think Joe's cringed and said, I saw this when I was managing St. Louis. But just a pass ball. How do you figure that one?
So Joe Torre in his 10th season with the Yankees, going through one of his worst stints. And some long days and long nights for their fans.
They had early hitting today. You try all kinds of things, but
Molina shoots it into right field. Sheffield will make the play and guns it back into the plate. He's still got a tremendous arm from right field.
Well, Reggie Sanders never had a chance because he was, as he should, has a lead, takes a secondary lead, and with a line drive right at the right fielder playing shallow, he never had time to get back to the bag and try to tag up.
Now it's a chance for Marquis to help himself.
And he's very capable of doing so.
Struck out swinging on a changeup last time. He's 0 for 1. Runners at second and third. The pitch is outside to Marquis. Outside again. Good look from our robotic camera. 2 balls and no strikes.
I like that look.
think you get a better feel for the speed of the game with that.
Yep.
Look at that camera.
Absolutely. And you kind of, especially on outside pitches, you get a pretty good read as to where they are.
Or inside pitches like that one.
Yeah. And I mean, there's where I think too the strike zone is elevated tonight. So you got two pitchers that want to live on the bottom of the strike zone, and they're not getting those calls.
Talked about the run differential in our 4-team matchup. The difference between the Cardinals and their opponents in the first 3 innings. And here they're putting up a 5 spot on the New York Yankees.
Remember, his batting average against with 2 outs, I think it was 385. But you know, Joe Torre, very proud, and this is a great tradition, great players, but a lot of people have made the assumption or statement that this team has gotten old very quickly.
Giambi's troubles in the offseason have not helped. Bernie Williams not getting any younger. Their pitching staff has not lived up to their expectations. I mean, coming into this season, you look at this lineup, then you add a Carl Pavano and a Randy Johnson, and you think, all right, let's just hand it over to the New York Yankees. But it's been a terrible start. This is as late as they've been in a season under 500 since all the way back in September of 1995. 3-2 pitch. Marquis grounds it right side. Another miscue. 2-run score. And it's 7-0 Cardinals.
I'm not impressed with Conejo's defense. Got a ball earlier that Walker got, showed not much range. That ball he let eat him up. They scored an error. I have no problem with that, but comes over here casually, tries to flag it down and just misses it. You can't do that when you got 2 outs and a couple guys on base. Goes from 5-0 to 7-0, and look at Joe. Joe's got a lot of patience, and he shows very little emotion.
Eckstein is 0 for 2.
One of their broadcasters recently was saying, well, I think you got to show some Billy Martin. Well, you can't be a Billy Martin if that's not your personality, and Joe's got too much pride to all of a sudden now rant and rave and throw things for effect.
David Eckstein is the only man in this lineup that has not been on base tonight, along with Molina. Those two, the only two. And we're only in the third. It's 7-0 Cardinals on a pitch that's inside to David. Long falling behind here. 3 balls and no strikes yet again.
Remember, David has that ability to take pitches, survey the defense, and kind of take pitches and stroke them where he wants.
A 3-0 pitch to Eckstein is outside for ball 4. And the man that started this inning, Mark Grudzielanek, comes up for the second time.
Who do they pick? Stoudemire getting somebody up in the bullpen.
That's 4 walks handed out, 2 intentional.
Paul Quantrill start throwing. It's kind of a game you watch this and you're sitting in the bullpen and you go, please don't have it be me.
Sacrificial lamb, so to speak.
Well, I mean, just the fact is, like, I'm going to be out there, but if my defense isn't going to help me either.
Defense has been terrible tonight for the Yankees. 0-1 pitch. Slap foul. Take a look at the in-game box score for the Cardinals. Eckstein now on. You see Grudzielanek scored a run. Albert Pujols a double and a single. Jim Edmonds with a pair of hits. Walker an RBI single along with Reggie. Nunez has scored a run.
Molina's hit 2 line drives that have been caught. And Marquis out there at second base with a chance to score.
0-2 pitch into right field, and this should do it as the Cardinals plate 5 here in the bottom of the third. They bat around. They lead it by 7 runs. Sheffield, A-Rod, Matsui coming up.
All right, recognizing higher standards, Bank of America presents the National League Player of the Week.
The Nationals' Nick Johnson and the Cardinals' Albert Pujols share Player of the Week honors. Johnson led the league batting .545, while Pujols notched 5 multi-hit games and 3 home runs.
Bank of America, higher standards.
This portion of Cardinal Baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. We're ready in advance. By Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Rico, how well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share? Well, the Cardinals have put up 7 runs here in the first 3 innings of play as we move to the top of the 4th at Busch Stadium. It'll be Sheffield, A-Rod, and Matsui for the Yankees, who have just 1 hit heading into the 4th against Jason Marquis. Sheffield flying to center his first time up, and the first pitch is outside. He's a batting champ at the age of 23. People forget he's Dwight Gooden's nephew too.
And do you remember when he was with Milwaukee and there was a couple things that happened, and you know, he kind of even admitted that he threw some balls away and got traded? Well, I had a chance to talk to him one time, and he said, you know, in the minor leagues you can drug test, and because of Doc Gooden's problems, he said, wow, every time there's an idea of how quick he is with that bat, how he can turn on pitches. But he said every time they had one of these random testing, it was him they got tested. He said they because of my uncle Dwight Gooden, he said I was constantly, you know, they were always looking for me to slip up. He said I've never taken a drug in my life. I've never done this, never done that at the time. And you know, he's really a very, very likable guy when you sit down and talk to him.
I was about to say that. I think most people look at him as kind of a villain character in Major League Baseball, for lack of a better term. And I've talked to him too. I find him to be a pleasure to be around. A nice guy. I
asked him, you know, because I saw where he donated some stuff for Albert's golf tournament. I said, Gary, do you golf? He goes, yeah. And I said, well, why didn't you golf yesterday? And he goes, I was kind of expecting, you know, that when I got there somebody was going to pick me up and do this and do that. He said, I said, well, no, Tony Womack's too, you know, he wanted it just special for him. He's the one that blanked you.
It was fun seeing Tony back at the tournament and back here in St. Louis, such an integral part of that championship team and the run a year ago. If the Cardinals don't pick up Tony Womack last year, you're looking at possibly Bo Hart being your second baseman. And Bo spent last year in the minor leagues, and of course this year as well. There's a look at Tony in that dugout alongside of Tino Martinez.
And I saw a little update on Bo Hart. You know, there was a period of time he wasn't playing much, but Bo Hart has been swinging the bat much better of late. He finished the homestand 7 for 17, a .412 average with a pair of homers. How about that for Bo Hart?
Here's A-Rod. He can get the Yankees on the board very quickly. Curveball and a strike. The youngest player to get to 400 home runs. And he did it the other day at Milwaukee with 2 home runs in their game on Wednesday night. He did it at the age of 29. He's 29 years old. 29 years, 316 days old. This one is popped up into center. Rodriguez is 0 for 2. Cardinal fans join Andy Bennis and Fred Bird for Cardinals Crew tomorrow at 5. Andy and Fred Bird will share stories about fan favorite moments at Busch Stadium. Also, Jeff Suppan answers questions from the Cardinals Crew Kids Club. It's the Cardinals Crew tomorrow at 5 on FSN Midwest. Well, you were talking earlier, as we're going to see Hideki Matsui, who fly to left his first time up, about how Joe Torre got the job in New York. Now, he was fired, to give you a little background before you go on your story. He was fired 47 games into the '95 season He goes to the Yankees in '96 and wins a title.
Okay, well, it's an interesting story. And Gene Michaels, the former Yankee shortstop, was a general manager. He had had enough, so he wanted to step down from general manager and be an advisor to George Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner said, okay, pick up a list. Get a list of potential GMs for me. So he called Dal Maxfield, who had just gotten fired too. So he called Maxie and said, hey, George wants to put a list of general managers together. I want you to be interviewed. And he goes, thanks, but no thanks. You know, I'm not a New York guy, but you know who really would like to be a general manager is Joe Torre. And he said, really? He said, yeah, you know, he's a Brooklyn guy. The New York media loves him. He'd be a perfect fit. So he said, but don't call him until, you know, wait a few minutes. I want to call him first and tell him he's going to receive a call for it. So Maxie calls up Torre and says, Joe, Gene Michael's going to call you about interviewing for the GM job. He said, I don't want to be a general manager. He said, I want to be a field manager. He said, well, you know, it'll be a good experience for you. They aren't going to hire you.
Past Eckstein, diving to his left. Edmonds overruns it, but Sheffield stops at second base.
He said it'd be a good experience. They're not going to hire you. And he said, okay. So he has a meeting with George Steinbrenner. Buck Showalter was his manager at the time, but his contract was up. Torre and Steinbrenner hit it off. Steinbrenner offers him the job as general manager of the Yankees. Now he has to tell him, well, you know, I only did this because Maxie said I wouldn't get hired. I really don't want to do it. I'd rather be a field manager. They kind of laugh about it. And then Buck Showalter has a salary dispute with George Steinbrenner, so he fires Buck Showalter and says, I'm going to hire Torre. So Torre gets hired as the manager of the Yankees. 3 days later, Showalter's going to sign with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Steinbrenner finds out about it and says, hey, offer the same deal to Showalter to be manager of the Yankees again. He said, well, you just hired Torre. He says, oh, don't worry, I'll just bump him up to general manager.
And that was it.
And Showalter said no, and that's how Joe finally got the job. And look at the job he's done for them. 4 world championships.
Comes an 0-1 pitch in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jorge Posada. 7-0 Cardinals here in the top of the 4th. Posada walked his first time up. Here's a 1-1 pitch inside. 2-1.
Buddy Groom, a lefty's warming up with the Yankees.
Posada's in the midst of a 5-year, $51 million contract. He's won 4 Silver Slugger awards from his catcher spot. His uncle Leo played in the majors. Leo Posada. Good pitch by Marquis, and it's 2-2.
Jason, the last couple times out, has been staked to big leads. And you know he's got 1 out and 2 men on, but get that 1 pitch, get out of the inning with a double play.
2-2 pitch. He got him.
His first strikeout comes at a good time.
Let's take a look at the Hardy's hot pitch of the game from Jason Marquis.
There's a changeup, and just kind of riding down and away, fools Posada.
And now it's Giambi, who's 0 for 1 as he flied to left field his first time up. He's made a couple of costly errors. One was charged an error, another one was not. So miscues rather than errors out there for Giambi in the field. And again, it's a fastball that he can't catch up on. Giambi, they thought they might be able to convince him to go to the minor leagues about 3 weeks ago to try to get him straightened out. But instead of doing that, he'd rather work with Don Mattingly, the hitting coach of the Yankees, to try to work his problems out. 1 ball, 1 strike on Giambi. Second-round pick back in '92 from Long Beach State. The MVP back in 2000, and he signed a 7-year, $120 million deal with the Yankees. Now, times have changed now for Giambi after he signed that deal. All the problems in the offseason, the struggles at the plate. Splitting time now with Tino Martinez. Two and 1 the count on Giambi. Runners at first and second. Now time called by Molina, trying to hook up with Marquis. Boy, everywhere he goes, Giambi is booed. That includes Yankee Stadium.
This had to have been an awkward situation where he apologized to the Yankee fans, but didn't state why he was apologizing.
On order by his lawyer.
Right.
Because of the investigation out west. 2-1 pitch. Inside to Giambi, and it's 3-1.
Marquis is young and tough, but throws a lot of pitches. Sometimes you need to throw to contact.
This one is popped up by Giambi on a 3-1 pitch. Backing up Eckstein. They'll make the play in the outfield grass. Giambi and the Yankees strand 2 coming up. Pujols, Edmonds, and Walker. And as we head to break, we also give you tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who's the all-time slugging percentage leader in interleague play? Well, we told you he's hitting .350 in interleague play. That might be a clue as we head to break. 7-0 Cardinals. 3 errors by the Yankees tonight. Here's Albert Pujols. A single and a double. An RBI for Pujols back in the first, number 48. He's also got 2 runs scored. Albert lived in New York for a while before his family moved to Kansas City. 0-1 pitch. Cardinals completed their draft this past week, and Albert's cousin was part of that group selected by the Cardinals at number 200 overall. Catch lightning in a bottle twice, maybe. Why not take a chance? Sticks the bat out on an 0-2 pitch. Here's Jeter. Exciting interleague action continues when the Cardinals head to Canada. They'll take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The entire 3-game series will be televised on FSN Midwest. Jim Hayes hosting Cardinals tonight. Cardinals Blue Jays right here on FSN Midwest, beginning at 5:30 on Monday night. We're going to see every American League East team this 12-game stretch. We saw Boston. We're seeing the Yankees here over the weekend. Head to Toronto, then Tampa Bay. We will not see Baltimore.
I still have not seen Camden Yards.
I was about to ask you about that. I had a chance to do Cal Ripken's final game that he ever played, and it was a memorable night at Camden Yards. And outside of just being privileged to be at that game, working for Fox, was the fact that before the game he had a chance to walk around and experience that ballpark, the first of the retro ballparks, the newer ballparks that came into play in the early 90s. I think 93, 94, something like that.
Some
it's
people,
just fantastic.
Yeah, some people still think that's the best one.
To make a case for it. That's another HOK design. It's the Cardinals design by HOK. A ball and 2 strikes. Edmonds reaches out, hits it to second. 2 down. Larry Walker has been on base twice tonight with a walk and an RBI single back in the first. Our Aflac trivia question. We mentioned that he's a .350 interleague hitter in his career. The all-time slugging
percentage leader. Interleague play, Larry Walker, near 700. The Aflac trivia question.
All right, for people that get upset that we give answers or subliminal hints, I've got one for you. Tonight at the ballpark are two of the last left-handed throwers that played third base in the big leagues.
They throw left, they play third base. Everyday players?
No, not every day. I mean,
okay.
But two recent left-handed infielders that are position players, left-handed, that play third base.
No idea.
Get your emails going. Maybe we can get somebody to answer that.
I can't believe we haven't had many emails here tonight. That's a strike that's low to Walker. He was ready to head to first. You can log on at foxsports.com. On MSN, the keyword is Cardinals booth.
And I'll give you a hint that both of them did it in the American League.
That's ball 4 to Walker. Third time he's been on base.
One's in uniform, wearing the Yankee uniform today.
A 2-on walk to Larry Walker. That's 5 in the game handed out by Wong. 2 of those intentional. And last inning, as the Cardinals plated 5, 2 of those were earned, 3 unearned runs allowed by Wong.
That's a good guess, but wrong. Very good guess, though.
Throws left-handed, though, right?
Right.
Tino throws right.
Well, you know, but you know what I'm saying. That is wrong.
Help me out here, Al. I'm dying of suspense here.
One's a captain.
It's Don Mattingly.
Don Mattingly. It's Luis Sojo. That's not it. Don Mattingly looks a little different than Luis Sojo, the third base coach.
Comes a 1-0 pitch to Reggie Sanders.
The other one is not in uniform. He's a Cardinal scout. That's not it either.
But I do know who that is. That's Andy Leonard. In attendance tonight from the law firm of McCarthy, Leonard, Kammerer.
Oh, I know them. He's not here to collect a bill.
See, the guys thought they were just shooting a random fan. I really know him. Tricky hop for Jeter. He can't handle it. He thought it was going to come up for him and then be able to maybe go to first, if not second. It stayed down and made it a very difficult play for the All-Star.
Now that's a base hit, and just because he makes the awkward throw and it gets away from the second baseman, don't think that's a bad one.
See where that hit the lip and then stayed down on the bounce. He's anticipating a different hop.
It still shows the great athleticism to catch it on the run full speed to his left, and glove gliding on the ground.
Here's Nunez. He takes a ball outside. The third baseman tonight for St. Louis is grounded out to third and was intentionally passed back in the third inning and scored a run. Nunez trying to add to the 7-0 Cardinals lead. Hit to Giambi. He knocks it down. He'll take it himself, and he makes the play. One of the rare plays he's made in the field tonight. Cardinals strand 2. They lead it 7-0. Cardinal baseball is brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. By Auto Tire. For straight talk and great service, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Steak and Shake. Real steak burgers, and real milkshakes served 24 hours a day at Steak and Shake. And by Southwest Airlines, friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. The second baseman, Robinson Cano, will lead it off here at Busch Stadium. As we move to the 5th, we'll see the pitcher spot that is up, and that's a fair ball past the diving Pujols and into the right field corner. Over to get it is Walker, and Cano has a leadoff double. Cano is 2 for 2 with a single and a double.
Kind of a hanging curveball.
Pinch hitting for the pitcher, Chin
Pulls it down into the corner.
Number 24, Tino Martinez.
Tino Martinez back in St. Louis, and a rude reception from the crowd here at Busch Stadium.
Had a nice conversation with Tino this evening. He had a nice little hot streak going for a while.
Remember, you and I did opening day a few years ago, and Tino Martinez was introduced. It was a standing ovation as he signed as a free agent with the St. Louis Cardinals at that time to replace Mark McGwire. And Martinez never really lived up to the billing or what we thought he might be here in St. Louis. But 2003 was a tough season all the way around, as the Cardinals were mathematically alive in the final weekend of the season, but Tino took a lot of the brunt of the criticism that team was getting. He was shaking hands and meeting with the media prior to tonight's game. His former teammates. 1-1 pitch. Hit sharply to the shortstop Eckstein, and Tino is retired. So that's it for Wong. His night is done after the pinch hitting appearance for Tino Martinez. Back to the top of the order, and here's one of Tino's best friends, Derek Jeter. And Jeter's 0 for 2. He's grounded out to second and grounded out to third. Bites this one off, and it is a fair ball. And Jeter is thinking too. Boy, he will do that so many times. Just fight off an inside pitch and bloop an extra base hit over the first baseman and just fair down the line, and he does it here tonight. 1 for 3.
How do you practice that?
Man, oh man. He's got two things that stand out about him among many things, but it's that swing where it almost inside outs over the first baseman, and then we saw it earlier when he makes that backhanded play and leaps with the throw to first. I mean, no one else does those kind of things.
But you just saw right there that, you know, he knew the ball was running in on him. He used his hands very quickly, inside out stroke, but just powered the ball. You know, swung maybe even harder than he normally does to try and get a little more oomph and a little more bat through that pitch that's in on it.
Here's Tony Womack. He looks at a ball low as the Yankees get on the board. It's now 7-1 Cardinals. Have a note here from Richie Maloney, big Cardinal fan, based in Boston of all places. And Richie is watching the Cardinals tonight and enjoying a Cardinal victory, we hope.
A lot of Boston fans walked away with a very, very favorable impression of St. Louis and their fans from earlier this week.
Richie's a guy that grew up here in St. Louis and moved to Boston, it says, and has stayed a Cardinal fan his whole life. 2-0 pitch is hit down the right field line. It is hooked and foul. Well, you and I got to know Tony Womack pretty well last year. Played an awful lot of golf with Tony. And as he told us time and again, he was getting better and better all season long at the game of golf. But what a find he was in a way for Walt Jocketty, and really extended the career of Tony Womack, because he was bouncing around. He was with Arizona, Colorado, then he was with Chicago in their run. Was kind of at a crossroads, and Walt Jocketty said, you know what, we need to get a guy to play second base. He's our man. Matt Duff to Boston, Womack to St. Louis.
It was fun to have him around. He
Sure was.
represented himself and the Cardinals very well.
Signed a 2-year, $4 million offer with the Yankees. He thought he was going to be the everyday second baseman, and now he's playing left field.
A lot of the guys like Tony Womack, kind of felt that, and maybe their agents felt that Walt Jockney had somewhat tunnel vision as he was trying to. His priorities were Renteria and then finding that #1 starter, and some of them panicked a little bit and took the first offer that was available.
Well, Brian Cashman and the Yankees said, here it is.
And it had a quick.
Oh, it was within
15 minutes or something like that.
We're not talking about days. It was down to minutes and then maybe hours for Tony Womack to make that decision.
I
but
think
because of that, then you get a guy like Mulder.
Right. I mean, when everything's all said and done, I mean, Walt and Mo and the whole staff did a wonderful job of replacing all the great starters that we lost.
Get into center field. Edmonds going back, drifting a bit. He'll set himself to throw. Gets it. Tagging up Jeter from second to third, and there's 2 down. Tony Womack is 0 for 3 in his return to St. Louis. That brings in Gary Sheffield. 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and the Yankees are 3rd from the bottom in the major leagues.
I saw that stat earlier today and found that very hard to believe with the veteran hitters here. And talking with Manley earlier, said, "Oh, he said, I really enjoy being back on the field, but this is a tough year." And you look at the stars that they have, you would think that it will turn around. But the one thing is, and it's hard when you have the errors that they've had and the misplays, it's hard to look like you have much life, but it almost seems like defensively they're going through the motions.
Not much emotion out there shown by the Yankees tonight. What a swing by Sheffield. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Guys like Sheffield, they know how much fun their game starts when they're standing in that batter's box. This guy could be one of the most feared right-handed hitters in the game.
Sheffield is moving into some pretty exclusive company too. Showing no signs of slowing down. Count of 1 ball and 1 strike on Gary Sheffield. Nice hop for Eckstein. Struggles continue for the Yankees with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Bottom of the 5th is coming up, and it's 7-1. Back here at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals with a lead of 7-1 as interleague play continues here at Busch. The Yankees in town for the first time since 1964. First time here at Busch Stadium ever. Rude greeting by the Cardinals, 7-1 on top.
Yeah, it's not like the storied franchise is putting out their best face right now, but we know that they are very, very capable. Joe Torre, maybe a little refresher course. Now, this is the way you do it. It's been 10 years since I've done a double switch, isn't it? And I want to do this and I want to do that. Now, Joe remembered it. He knew how to do it.
Paul Quantrill is into the game for New York. This will be his 18th appearance, a record of 1-0. Look at the ERA at 7.66, and opponents hitting .368 against him. And a new center fielder, Bernie Williams, in the final year of his deal with the Yankees. Now a part-time player with New York. He started out as their everyday center fielder, had been for over a decade, but Matsui moves from center to left. Here's Yadier Molina with Marquis to follow, and then David Eckstein. Fastball misses outside and low, and it's 2-0. Take away the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season offensively for Yadier Molina. He's had a terrific year. 2-0 pitch. Loops this one into center field. Bernie's going to take it. And Molina is 0 for 3. What's on tap is brought to you by Budweiser. And again, our next game on FSN Midwest will be on Monday night from Toronto. The Yankees and Cardinals tomorrow will be the game of the week on Fox 2. Here's Marquis. He has struck out and reached on an error that brought in 2 runs. David Eckstein on deck, and a grounder for Derek Jeter. He'll gobble it up. Quickly 2 down against Quantrill. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC. Eckstein is walked and grounded out twice. Talking with Barry Weinberg about David and the throwing program that he's on. It's a similar program to what a pitcher would go through if they were returning from injury, or arm strengthening exercises for a pitcher. A lot of it is stretching and long tossing, but also some specific work that they do. And it's been noticeably different, I think, even from opening day to what we see here tonight. Grounds it to second. Cano will take it, and that's the first 1-2-3 inning that the Yankees put away the Cardinals with tonight. A-Rod is coming up along with Matsui and Posada. 7-1 St. Louis.
Damn Sports Show period after the postgame on FSN.
This portion of Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. We're ready in advance. By Aflac. Ask about it at work. And by Rico. How well do you print, copy, scan, or fax? How well do you share? Gorgeous night for baseball. The rain has stayed away here in downtown St. Louis, and glad you could join us on your home of the Cardinals, FSN. The Cardinals with a lead of 7-1 in front of a packed house here at Busch Stadium. 50,000 plus expected tonight. Sold out for a number of weeks. And the batter is one of the game's best, if not the best, Alex Rodriguez, who is 0 for 2 tonight. He swings at a ball for strike 1. He's grounded to short, and he's flied to center. Matsui on deck, and then we'll see Jorge Posada. The Yankees with just 4 hits tonight. They've committed 3 errors, and that's a big difference in this game. Positioned perfectly. Gritzelanek to his right. A-Rod is 0 for 3. Tell you what, you take away the 2 home runs that he had Wednesday night against Milwaukee. It's been a tough road trip for Alex Rodriguez.
A lot of these guys are in prolonged slumps or just kind of flirting around with the 200 barrier. And then all of a sudden they'll have a decent day, but then you look at what they've done in the last 30 or 40 at bats, and it's tough to string things together.
Matsui is 1 for 2. You going to tell us about the other third baseman?
Mike Squires.
Okay. With the Cardinals.
Well, he's a Cardinal scout.
Right.
He's with the White Sox. No, he never played.
Cardinals as a scout is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Here's Hideki Matsui. Buddy Ted Sizemore peeling off number 51 down to 50. That Busch Light sign here at Busch Stadium.
Not to criticize, but sometimes trying to figure out what the rhyme or reason is. And I wish they put that in the notes, because it make a little sense.
Thought maybe 51 would be reserved for Willie McGee.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of it. Is, you know, there's been some good suggestions. I saw someplace where on 21 for Terry Metcalf. That'd be cool.
Yep. 2-1 pitch. Nunez to his left. Over to Pujols. 2 down. Well, we are 10 pins into the Post-Dispatch Cardinals final season pin collection series for 2005. If you've missed any of the first 10, it's not too late. 1 visit and you are caught up when you use the super coupon available only in this Sunday's Post-Dispatch. And tomorrow's featured pin is Julian Tavares. So Rodriguez grounded to second. Then Nunez took away the base hit from Matsui. So 2 down. And here's Jorge Posada, the switch hitting catcher for the Yankees. Of course, Al Hrabosky wore number 39. I'm assuming that you'll be peeling off number 39 that night. You want to give it away?
Don't assume anything.
Have you been asked?
No.
Oh, I'm going to start a
No, I mean,
it
was mentioned, but I haven't been formally asked.
Okay.
You know.
We'll make sure that happens.
No,
I'm taking it on myself.
I'm working
to make sure it happens. Well, we can get you out there. We'll ship you out there.
It's a long way. You might get hurt.
Oh, Hey, they give you the cart.
Fredberg's my best friend. I'll make him fly me around.
Breaking ball misses outside. 1-2 on Posada. Jorge Posada, 24th round pick back in 1990, one of the Yankee finds. When you talk about the Yankees, it's not just what they do in signing free agents and spending money there, but it's also how much money they spend in scouting players all over the world.
Joe Torre is saying tonight she didn't spend enough.
Well, Joe Torre and the Yankees come in with a payroll, a record payroll of $208 million at the start of play tonight. Knowing George Steinbrenner, you know, it could always be added on if you get a Roger Clemens or somebody down the stretch to add to that payroll. That's even if they're in contention. That's ripped into right field for a base hit. A pitch that was up in the zone, and Posada hammered it into right field. No one is running away with the American League East. The Yankees come in just 6 games out. Boston 3 games back. They won to, or rather lost today at Wrigley Field. Then you've got Toronto 4.5 games out, and some more boos for Giambi.
Baltimore is playing in Cincinnati, and they lead 4-3 after 8. Danny Graves working out 3 consecutive days with the Mets, but no contract yet, or at least as of today.
Giambi tonight is fly to left and popped out on a 3-1 pitch to David Eckstein. Quickly 0-2.
Saw Pujols with 2 outs playing behind the runner at first.
You know, Al, you made a great point earlier, and the biggest difference that people see with Giambi, the scouts that follow the Yankees, is this. Here we are again, 0-2 the count, and his aggressiveness at the plate is lost for whatever reason. He has not been aggressive. Taken a ton of pitches.
You're always trying to catch up. You know, Don Mattingly, you know, great hitter he was, and try and get that aggressiveness back, and you can do it in batting practice, but does it translate to the game?
They go inside on Giambi, and it's up and in for ball 2, 2-2.
Time I see Mattingly, I think about one of Shannonisms. One year he's reading the ticker and he says Don Mattingly just set a major league record for hitting his 6th grand slam in the same season. Mike Shannon said, just think about it, folks, each and every one of them came with the bases loaded.
Yeah. Giambi retired. He's 0 for 3, and we head to the bottom of the 6th, and it's 7-1 Cards. Tonight's pitch-by-pitch feature brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers. It's Marquis and Jason Giambi.
You see what you're talking about. He just lets the pitcher get ahead, 2 fastballs away, then he tried to elevate, 1 missed. Another pitch up there, and then he finally gets one in the strike zone, and a little dribbler as the ball not jumping off his bat at all, and still fighting all the time behind in the count.
And the first pitch to Grudzielanek is strike 1. Mark tonight walked and scored back in the first. He's grounded out to second. Fly to right. 7-1 Cardinals here in the 6th.
Grudzielanek's tied for 3rd in the National League with .349 nighttime batting average.
Not only is a return for Joe Torre as a manager, but of course he was a player here in St. Louis. As Grudzielanek is retired, a teammate of Al's, 100 RBI man at 3 different positions from 1969 to 1974 here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I played with Joe. I played against Joe after he got traded to the Mets, and then I played for him down in Atlanta. And then the entire time he was managing here in St. Louis, I was broadcasting.
Class act too. That's why he's perfect for New York, to be able to handle the media, easygoing guy, as Pujols will dig in with 1 out.
Well, he's a local. You know, he's from Brooklyn. He was well respected by the media. He knows how to be a buffer between the media and George and everything else. He deflected a lot from his players so they could just play.
Wipe Alley is also in town.
Yep.
And I believe he'll be on Mike Shannon's show tonight.
Yes, he will.
On KMOX here in St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike on Albert Pujols. Bob Gibson is here, and I think Bob Gibson is going to stop by as well.
Both of them.
1-1 pitch. Count of 2-1 on Pujols. He has singled, doubled, 2 runs scored, an RBI, number 48 on the season. He's also grounded to short to Jeter. Heading the count here, and watch out on 2-1. Albert into center. Bernie going back at the track, at the wall. Goodbye.
th career home run for Albert, 15th this season, and his 2nd RBI, his 3rd hit. Ball up in his zone, out of way, and look how he puts that level swing on it. Ball jumping off his bat out into the backdrop area.
They want a curtain call. Edman steps out for it. Will they get it? $50,000 have erupted here tonight. That thing was just smoked.
And you know what? That ball was 415 feet. So 1 foot clearing the old wall.
Would you believe it if I said Tom Meade just called that home run before it happened?
No.
I know you don't believe it. He did.
But congratulations. I think Tommy's been here more than a decade, and he got one right.
Good fastball tailing away.
Nice going,
from
Tommy.
1-2 is the count on Jim. Albert Pujols now a triple away from the cycle tonight.
As Jack Buck always say, if you make enough predictions, one's bound to come true.
1-2 pitch. Oh.
Look at that stance. Ball up, and he can stay on top of him, hit a line drive.
Edmonds back to the pitcher Quantrill in his 2nd inning of work. Over to Giambi for out number 2.
Daniel said, I could do that.
That brings in Larry Walker, who's been on base 3 times tonight. An intentional walk back in the 3rd. He walked in the 4th. And an RBI single in the 1st.
All right. Albert's got a single, double, and now home run.
Fastball and a strike. It's now 8-1 Cardinals.
Toughest one to get is the triple. "40 years, there's only been 3 Cardinals hit the cycle here. Did we see the 4th?
Well, up by this score, if he's got a shot, he's going to try for it. How many times do you think guys? How many times do you think the guys know that they're on the verge of it?
Every time.
Well, I'll tell you what. Pedro Martinez the other day says, "I didn't know I had a no-hitter."
Sure, he lied to
hey,
me.
if he says it, I believe him. No reason not to. Grudzielanek said he didn't even know about it when he got his cycle. Albert a triple away from the cycle after his home run. This portion of Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack invites you to come in and experience Ciabatta. It's all about the bread. And by your local Chrysler Jeep dealers. Albert Pujols has made this an 8-1 St. Louis lead as we move to the top of the 7th. Cano will be the first hitter, their second baseman, followed by Bernie Williams, part of a double switch, and then we'll see Derek Jeter. Cardinals with 8 runs on 8 hits, no errors. Yankees 1 run on 5 hits and 3 errors. That's pulled to Albert. Good play. Round number 1. You can register to win your day at the ballpark in the Rogers and Hollins Jewelers Diamond Destination Contest at South County, West County, or St. Clair Square. Bernie Williams. Always talk about how you want to build with pitching and then defense up the middle, and the Yankees have had great players up the middle. Think about Bernie Williams when he was in his prime. They're winning their championships. Derek Jeter just getting into his prime. Then Jorge Posada behind the plate. That trio really anchored the defense for the Yankees.
Just got to give a lot of credit to Bernie Williams to take those guys under his wing, show them how to be real pros.
Shallow center field, his counterpart Edmonds. 2 outs.
That's pretty good Yankee center fielder, Joe DiMaggio.
Did you ever meet him?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I met him down there. I used to go to his. They had a charity event for the Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital down in Fort Lauderdale, and I would go down. I probably went down about 6-7 years, and Joe D would come out. You know, I mean, you could see all these guys that played with him. But I met him. Actually, I saw the last time he put on a uniform. He was playing an old timers game in Atlanta, and he hurt his back. And he said, that's it. That'll be the last time I ever do this again. But
many believe that that 56 game hitting streak may be the toughest of all the records in Major League Baseball.
He just had an air about him. You know, it was just it was almost like royalty.
Pete Rose got to what, 44 games. Paul Molitor extended it for a while.
Get to 30. And the pressure starts mounting, and like you said, that was about 78 or 9. It was 79 when Pete Rose had the 44-game streak.
Jeter retired. 8-1 Cards. Mike Ehrlich is tonight's merchandise winner in the Hyundai Long Drive Inning Sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th, Mike will qualify for the Hyundai Tucson drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. We're talking about Joe DiMaggio, and then it was, of course, Mickey Mantle. And back in 1964, that would be his final World Series, which was against the St. Louis Cardinals. And I'm sure you had a chance to visit numerous occasions with the Mick. Enjoy a libation or two with Mickey Mantle.
I was just thinking of a great story I told yesterday about Mickey. Sat next to Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin at a banquet in Springfield, and they said, Al, we can't go anyplace without getting in trouble. Said, like last night, we went to this bar. We just want to enjoy ourselves, have a few drinks, and we were having a good time with all the people in the bar. And then some people said, there's a group in the back that would like to meet you. So we went back there, and there's a group of deaf people. And he goes, you know, Billy's going, Mick and I always wanted to sing. So we said, what a better group to sing to than a bunch of deaf people. So they were singing. They were having a great time. The people at the front of the bar got upset because they were spending too much time with the deaf people. So he said, we got in another fight.
And that's that. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Reggie Sanders. It's popped up into shallow right field. And it's taken there by Sheffield for the first out. Well, I mentioned that the Cardinals are 13-18 all-time against New York, but they have won 3 of the 5 World Series, and that includes back in 1964, the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Yankees. It would be a big series for our good buddy Mike Shannon.
Hit a home run in that game, and Bob Gibson set a Major League record for, I think, 31 strikeouts in the game. Boyer got the big hit.
And the final out here with Gibson on the mound.
Bobby Richardson popping up to Dal Maxfield. It is 31 strikeouts, new World Series record for Gibson. Stoudemire next to Torrey there. Started game one. Probably a couple more.
How about our crowd here tonight? 50,250. Our paid attendance, our announcement just moments ago. 50,250. Sold out crowd. Change up and Nunez out in front. This will be the last inning of work for Paul Quantrill in his third inning in relief of Wong. Marquis still going strong. No activity in the Cardinals bullpen. Nunez in the hole with a ball and 2 strikes. 2-2.
You can see people standing up in the upper deck, standing room only. Every place you could cram somebody in, somebody's here. Looks great, doesn't it?
Sure does. 2-2 pitch is hit into right field, but right at Sheffield. No, he misjudges it. And Nunez on his way to second base. He's thinking 3. Nunez on his way to third, and he is gunned down. Trying to extend the double into a triple. Well, I thought that ball, the way that Sheffield was reacting, was hit right at him. And then all of a sudden it wasn't even, not even close.
Well, I think he lost in the lights. It was one of those line drives that never got above the lights because he didn't react until late. But they eventually reacted and they got the out at third base.
The batter is Yadier Molina. It was the home plate umpire that moved apparently to make that call.
Right.
The second base umpire goes out to the outfield. The third base umpire then shifts to second. Home plate umpire moves up to third. First base umpire comes down to the plate.
Jeff Nelson, third base umpire. There's Darrell Cousins, second baseman.
Molina right to the second baseman. Cano. We're through 7 and it's 8-1 Cards. Cardinal Baseball is a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of FSN Midwest as you watch the liftoff of the home run by Pujols, now with 15 on the season, 2 RBIs tonight. He's at 49. Great camera work. Jason Marquis, the last 5 interleague starts for Marquis, a record of 4-0, a chance to go to 5-0 here tonight. Opponents hitting under 200, 7 walks and 24 strikeouts. That ERA of 2.35. Al Hrabosky alongside Dan McLaughlin with you. The Midwest Sports Report coming up after this game. It's 8-1 Cardinals here in the top of the 8th. And Russ Johnson off the Yankees bench will be the pinch hitter. Followed by Sheffield, then Alex Rodriguez. How about you? Even though it's a lopsided score in favor of the Cardinals, it's still fun to see a team like the Yankees come in. It's not a close game here tonight, but just seeing some of these guys that we have seen throughout the years, the World Series or postseason play, whether it be Derek Jeter or Alex Rodriguez.
Don't get me wrong, I don't have any problem with this score either.
Jason Giambi, Don Mattingly.
Sure.
Return of Tino. Just a special night here at Busch.
Well, you know, I'm not the greatest fan of interleague play, but I am definitely a fan of this, these matchups. And we are so fortunate with the Cardinals with their storied history that almost any time
it means something.
You match up with somebody, there's go back in history and to find a World Series matchup or some type of thing to make it extra special.
Got him on the inside corner, a strikeout to start the 8th for Marquis.
It's like the first year when you had Detroit. Detroit was down, but it was a return to the 68. Then you go to Kansas City, and you have the I-70 series. But now we got 64 and the different all before that. It was 1946 was the last time the Cardinals won a world championship prior to that 64. So there was a long drought in between there too.
Remember when Baltimore was here a couple of years ago, back in 2003, it was a turn back the clock day that we had on one of the weekend games with the Browns. But But there is the other side to interleague play, and we'll see that next weekend as the Cardinals go to Tampa Bay.
Well, but even that's going to be interesting because the Cardinals trained in St. Petersburg for 50 plus years.
Yep.
And we all saw that stadium being built. And
hammered to the third baseman. How about the play of Abraham Nunez over at third defensively? He's done the job, not just tonight, but since Scott Rowland has been out of the lineup. If you'd like to win Cardinals tickets and participate in the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game promotion during a Cardinals home game, here's your chance. Send your name, address, and phone number to Southwest Airlines Family of the Game, P.O. Box 771192, St. Louis, Missouri 63177, and good luck from Southwest Airlines. Alex Rodriguez 0 for 3 tonight. As we talked about, he along with Pujols, 2 Triple Crown candidates in both leagues. As that pitch is a ball, a little low to A-Rod.
You have to think with the Cubbies winning big 14-6 over Boston that Derek Lee must have done something.
Yeah, you talk about the excitement of this series, the one in the Windy City. They had fans lined up outside of Wrigley Field as A-Rod gets his first base hit. He's 1 for 4, but they had fans lined up and spending the night outside of Wrigley Field to get the bleacher seats as Greg Maddux picked up the victory today, and he also hit a home run in that win for Chicago. The batter is Hideki Matsui. He wears the number 55 in honor of Sadahara O, Japanese home run king. Hit 55 one season. Many thought that Matsui would be the next to do it when he first came up, as they give A-Rod second base. They gave him number 55. And the home runs have been down this year for Matsui. He started out in center field, has moved to left as Randy Flores is getting loose in the Cardinal pen.
Godzilla.
Matsui decided not to take a contract extension from the Yankees during spring training. They were going to pay him a ton of money, and he said, you know what, let's just put it off until the end of this season. And he's had a down year by his standards. RBIs have been good. The home runs have been down. He's only hitting .268. 1 for 3 tonight. Good pitch. How about Jason Marquis? 2 strikeouts here in the 8th. A team that he grew up loving, rooting for, the Yankees. He's setting them down tonight. It's 8-1 Cardinals as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Game recap brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of Major League Baseball. Some rain early on in this game, as we saw for the first time here in St. Louis. A-Rod, a tough night for Jason Giambi at first base. Led to a couple of runs. And the Cardinals were hitting early on and capitalizing on their poor defense. Albert Pujols would go deep. His 15th home run, 2 more RBIs tonight, and a long night for Joe Torre. The Bank of America game recap. The Cardinals 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters. 8 for 14, and Jason Marquis 112 pitches thrown. Struck out 3-2 in the last inning, and now Scott Seabold is going to be the pinch hitter for Marquis. And it's Buddy Groom, left-hander, out of the bullpen for New York. This will be his 16th appearance, an ERA of 6. Opponents hitting over 300 against him. So Scott Seabold, an opportunity against the Yankees. Fastball a little up in the zone, and it's 0-2.
Buddy Groom's been around a long time, and remember, Seabold was with the Yankees, so this got to be a thrill. 48 days with the Yankees several years ago. Got 1 at bat.
Jason Marquis, a big night. 8 strong innings for the Cardinals. The starting pitching has really defined this team in many ways.
Well, on his way to having his 8th victory. As you see, Randy Flores looks like he's going to be with a 7-run lead, get a chance to pitch the 9th inning, but be the 35th win amongst the starters.
He got him. Couldn't pull the trigger, and a strikeout of Scott Seabold. Cardinal fans get in-game alerts, scores, breaking news, and more. Your mobile phone for just $3.99 a month. Text the word cards to 65246 or MLBGO. Charges will appear on your mobile phone. Strikeout of Seabold. Start play here in the bottom of the 8th, and here's David Eckstein. 0 for 3 with a walk tonight. I mentioned earlier, good news with Scott Rowland. Could see him back in this lineup sooner than later. And next week,
more and more activity.
You know, next week is a chance in which Barry Weinberg said he'll be somewhere playing baseball games, probably, whether it's on a rehab assignment or simulated games here with the Cardinals. There with John Mabry. 1 ball, 1 strike on David Eckstein.
Can't say enough what Mabry and Nunez did, and on the recent road trip, Seabold got a chance to contribute.
Shallow right field. Sheffield puts it away.
But when you get Scott back, those guys move into their normal roles as bench players, and then you're that much stronger. You have a Gold Glove all-star caliber player playing every day, and you got Gold Glove and all-star caliber bench players.
Here's Grizzolonic. 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Cardinals picked up 2 in the first, 5 in the third. Another on the home run by Pujols in the 6th, and lead it 8-1.
Buddy Groom started the season at AAA Columbus, threw 6 games there, and then was called up on April 19th. He is one of only 3 pitchers to appear in at least 60 games in each of the last 9 seasons, and he's pitched in more games in that span than any other American League pitcher.
That's into right center field. Grizzolonic here with another double.
It gives Albert the chance.
Albert Pujols, and you're talking about the chance of the cycle, is 3 for 4. He's got a single, a double, and a home run here tonight. So the inning extended to Albert. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the game of the week tomorrow, the Yankees and the Cardinals, game 2. What a pitching pairing. 2 great lefties, Mark Mulder and Randy Johnson, going head-to-head. 2 historic franchises, the Yankees and the Cardinals, in game 2 tomorrow from Busch.
And we want to thank KTVI Channel 2 in St. Louis for helping us out with our videos to the track to Iraq.
Wow, how about this? 8-1, and they're going to intentionally pass Pujols. Come on.
Especially with a chance to have for the cycle. But Joe's still trying to manage to win. So it dictates this move, but it's not a popular one.
I understand if it's a 1-run lead, but 8-1.
I understand too, but sometimes we turn it around and we wonder why Tony La Russa makes a pitching change with 2 outs in the 9th, up by 7 or 8 runs. So it's he's doing it because he feels that's the best way for his team to win. You have to assume that Joe Torre is doing it because he thinks it's the best way for his team to get back into the game.
Well, we talked about this earlier, the fact that So Taguchi with Randy Johnson on the mound tomorrow afternoon probably will get the start. And the Japanese media will be out full force with Hideki Matsui, and of course the Taiwanese pitcher tonight, Wong, and you got So Taguchi tomorrow as well.
Taguchi really been slipping since May the 12th. A 170 batting average, 7 for 41, but in his last 4 starts he's 5 for 11, 455. So this will help jumpstart him for tomorrow if he's in the lineup.
Ball and a strike.
Was having a lot of conversation with Matsui before the game, and he was out there playing in Albert's golf tournament. He's got a nice swing.
1 ball, 1 strike on So Taguchi. We'll have a chance to see Jeter tonight, Alex Rodriguez, Bernie Williams, Randy Johnson tomorrow, Joe Torre back here in St. Louis. Taguchi trying to extend this 8-1 lead. Instead, he strikes out. Posada will throw down to Giambi. And the Cardinals are done. And we'll head to the ninth as Randy Flores will come on in an 8-1 St. Louis lead. Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest has been brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, saluting America's responsible drinkers. Responsibility matters. And by Pontiac, brought to you by the first ever Pontiac G6. Go to www.pontiac.com. Posada, Giambi, and Cano. So Taguchi will stay in the ball game. A new pitcher in for St. Louis. Randy Flores will take over. Left-handed batters are only hitting 121 against Randy Flores, and overall opponents hitting just 222. We were wondering how this bullpen would come about and come around with the departure of Steve Klein and Mike Myers, and was traded back to Boston, and this guy has stepped up big time in that role, Randy Flores. It's 8-1 Cardinals, and staying in the ball game as we mentioned. So Taguchi, he will stay in and play center field. Looks like Tavares is getting loose out there for St. Louis. It's 8-1 Cardinals here in the ninth.
Well, remember I just told you, 7 runs up, they're going to.
You told us all out.
Yeah, I mean, Tony's going to go 2 or 3 pitchers deep in this game. Of course, some of these guys probably need a little work. For the off day yesterday, the starters going so deep in contest.
Jorge Posada on a 1-0 pitch. Hits it into deep left field. Stay in the ballpark. Sanders there for out number 1. Let's go to the right field corner here at Busch Stadium, and Brent Stover is standing by. Hello, Brent.
Guys, coming up right after the game on the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report, Tom Ackerman of KMOX joins me to take your phone calls at 1-888-RING-FOX. Plenty of post-game reaction following this game, including Tony La Russa live and the rest of the night in Major League Baseball. That and more after the game on MSR. Dan and Al, back to you.
All right, Brent, thank you. And here is Jason Giambi. Another tough night, 0 for 3. Average has dipped under 230. He's at 229. Made some costly miscues defensively for the Yankees tonight. Our next televised game on FSN Midwest will be on Monday night. And Toronto will be the opponent, the Blue Jays.
That one we really don't have any history with.
Saw them in interleague play a couple of seasons ago.
You know what the history is? I got it. Former Cardinal relief pitcher Ron Taylor is now Dr. Ron Taylor, and he is their team physician.
How about Tom Hakey?
But he isn't playing.
Oh, okay. So you have to still be among people within the organization. I got you now. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to come up with some connections here. 3-1 on Jason Giambi. 8-1 Cardinals here in the ninth.
Tom wants to be a Cardinal.
Play of the game is brought to you by Bud Light. Albert Pujols here tonight. A big night for the Cardinals. Single, double, home run, 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs. Mr. Bud Light play of the game as we take you back to the 6th inning and a home run to dead center field.
That's strength.
Bernie Williams on deck.
He could be our Hungo Award winner.
And here's Canal. We'll announce that Hungo Award winner after the game. Canal takes a ball outside, and now Molina wants to go talk it over with Flores.
See, Jason Isringhausen is warming up now, but one of the reasons for that is Jason hasn't pitched since last Saturday.
Right. One of the guys that needs some work out in that bullpen.
Randy Flores hasn't pitched since last Sunday.
The Yankees lose this one, and it looks like they will. They'll drop 8 of their last 10. This 12-game road trip. ball, 1 strike. And you wonder about the hangover for the Yankees after being up 3-1 against Boston last year in the championship series. How much has that carried over? That devastating series in which they lost to Boston. How much has that played into what's happened this year with the New York Yankees, who are on the verge of going 2 games below 500?
And yet they felt like with Wednesday's victory, they thought that that was going to launch them into a little winning streak, and came out and they kind of defensively gave this game to the Cardinals.
2 down. This crowd of 50,250 will rise to their feet in anticipation of this final out. The batter will be Bernie Williams. First pitch to Bernie. The ball upstairs. The Yankees come in with 73 combined all-star appearances on their roster. A record payroll of $208 million. They're going to be 2 games under 500 and thumped in game number 1. Two balls and no strike on Bernie, who's 0 for 1. Came in midway through this game. Two 0 pitch is popped up. Is there a play? Pujols will give chase. Foul territory. Albert. Oh no! Almost had it.
Albert upset with himself, and normally he makes this type of play and hit him in the glove, and look, you see how frustrated he is. It's how much pride he has, and he has really improved defensively.
He thought he had it, and then oh. The next pitch to Bernie Williams, ripped, and a force play at second, and the Cardinals win it 8-1 over the Yankees. Little different reaction for that youngster after that play. Pujols dropped it, but then we saw the play by Nunez and a force at second. The Cardinals win it. These fans are happy here tonight by the score of 8-1. Jason Marquis is now 8-3. Long drops to 3-2. 8-1 our final. The Midwest Sports Report is coming up. Don't forget the game of the week on KTVI tomorrow at 2 o'clock. For Al, I'm Dan. We'll talk to you folks Monday night from Toronto. Next time on FSN Midwest, Midwest Sports Report comes your way now.